Okay. So remember, I sent this to everyone in terms of in your WhatsApp and in the emails. I'll bring up this closer shortly. Let me just get through the instructions, and then I'll bring it up closer for those persons who need to see it a little better. All right, so just to recap, we had said that, all right, for right angled triangles, right? You know, you're thinking about using Pythagoras' theorem, and you're thinking about your trig ratios. Right, and by that I mean the SOHCAHTOA, where you're looking about your opposite adjacent hypotenuse. However, for non-right angled triangles, right, we focus on the sine rule and the cosine. Right, so if you notice already, I'm looking at this question on the right-hand side. I'm not immediately seeing any right angles. So I know I am more thinking towards the side of sine rule and cosine rule. So let's just read the question and then I can make it bigger. So it says a diagram not drawn to scale shows a quadrilateral, and quadrilateral just means 4 sides. So that's QRST, so that's the 4 sides. That's why they're saying quadrilateral, right? They tell us that QS is 7, ST is 10, QT is 8, angle SRQ is 60, and angle RQS 48. All right, so everything is straightforward in terms of the information that they've given to us. So I'm making it bigger. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, right? I mean, we did it, I think, a little bit in our last class, but I'll recap now. Right, so they want us to find the length of RS. All right, so let me first talk about the sine rule, since that's what we're going to use. All right, so the sine rule says, right, if you need to find a missing side, right, it's A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. Right, so for example, right, let's say I said to find, right, so this is not the actual question. I'm actually showing you how to do it first, and then we'll do the question over there. Right, so to find a missing side, right, in this case, we're trying to find QR. Right, according to the sine rule, right, if I know the angle across from the missing side, right, so what do we need for the sine rule? We need the angle across from the missing side, right, and then we need to know the measurement of another side and the angle matching that side. Right, so you only get to use the sine rule One, if you know the angle across from the missing side, and if you also know the measurement of another side and the angle across from it. Right? So somebody may be asking, Miss, how do I know when to use the sine rule? I'm saying that you are allowed to use the sine rule if you know the angle across from the missing side. So in this case, that would be the 26. As well as if you know the measurement of one of the other sides, along with the angle across from that side. So those persons who are writing off, you can take it. Then I'll actually show you how to use it. Just giving persons a moment to write off. For those persons who already know how to use the sine rule, that's your hint for RS that you're going to use the sine rule. Again, everybody remember that you have to speak to me through answers. I'll go back in a minute. One second. All right, so we have, right, so the sine rule says A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. So in case I didn't say it, let me go back here. All right, so these are the sides. Right, and these are angles. Yeah, good afternoon. Always remember what comes after sine, cos, or tan is always an angle. All right, so I'm saying that I could put QR over sine 26 is equal to 15 over sine 35. All right, so I put the side over the sine of the angle. I put the side over the sine of that angle. Okay, so before we work it out, everybody give me some yeses, give me some no's. Are we seeing how I use the sine formula? So this is the sine rule. Is everybody seeing how to place the numbers where they need to go? Again, guys, I have to go with those who are responding to me. So if everybody's giving me a yes, I will have to go with those persons who have given me the yes. So if you're a no, simply say it and I can clear it up for you. Right, so then we put that in our calculator. So you put 15 divided by sine 35 and you should get 26.1517. Right, so usually until you reach the end, keep about 4 decimal places. Right, until you reach to the end, because you don't want to round too early. Right, so don't round too early. So ensure that when you put this in the calculator, right, that's what you're getting. So then the sine 26, which is divided, when we take it across, we will multiply. All right, so you should be getting 11.5. All right, so that's how you would use the sine rule. So if I have no questions, I want you to try and find RS, right, using the sine rule. So if you understand, it means you should be able to find RS using the sine rule. Yes, it doesn't matter. So it has to be, so you cannot put just anything. I mean, you can't just put them anywhere. So it's the side over the sine of the angle across from that side. So you can't put the QR over sine 35. It has to be the one across from it. All right, same thing. It's the 15 and the angle across from it. Yeah, no problem. So everybody should be trying RS. I see that some persons got it already. For those persons, you'll probably have to wait on me for the second part, because the second part is the cosine rule. So if it's not something you know already, you have to wait on me first. What is this? May 22. All right, so the triangle that we're looking at. All right, so you're trying to find RS. So you have the angle across from RS, and you have the length of another side along with the angle across from that side. All right, so we say that RS over sine 48 is equal to 7 over sine 60. So RS over sine 48 right, is equal to 8.0829. And the sine 48 right, when we bring it across, we will multiply. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so your answer should be 6.0. Right, so your answer is just 6 centimeters. So again, you know the angle to use because it's the angle across from the side. All right, so you use the angle. So that's why I have the red with the red and the blue with the blue. I guess whenever I'm teaching, that's why I try to use the colors so that it can help you to see it. All right, so the side RS is across from the angle 48. The side 7 is across from the angle 60. So the person who asked me about what angle to use, are you seeing it? Yeah, so it's always the angle across from the side. Okay, so I know I've used this to show you how to find the side, but I want you to see how to find the angle using the sine rule. So I'm going to do a bonus question. And then I'll go to part 2, which is, as I said, that's with the cosine rule. Okay, awesome. I guess most of these things will take more than one go, right? Especially because I'm not teaching it slowly and in full. Remember, I'm kind of just giving you the important information, right? So again, if this is a topic you struggle with, you can go into the folder that says trigonometry. I teach it very slowly. I do lots of examples, right? So you wouldn't have to rush to learn it. Right? Because remember, the marathon sessions are for past papers, not so much for teaching. It's just that I still have to do a bit of teaching because I can't take it for granted that you guys already know. All right, so that's about using the sine rule to find a missing angle. So it's the same thing, it's just instead the angle goes on top. All right, so if you find in the side, use the same formula but the side on top. All right, so if it was the missing side, just so that you guys kind of compare it. Right, and the reason I do that is just to make the working out a bit easier. So if you're looking for the side, it's easier to have it with the side on top. Or if you're looking for the angle, it's easier to look for it with the angle on top. All right, so for example, I don't know because we want to find angle. Sorry about that. No, that's not what I wanted to put. All right, suppose I said sine angle Q SR. All right, so we know that that means the angle at S made in between Q and R. All right, so it's the angle. So we still want the angle. It's always the angle and the side across from it. The angle on the side across from it. All right, so it's sine 41 over 20. Or it's up to you if you want, whichever one you want to put first is fine. I'd probably call it X. Right? So whenever we have an unknown, we just put X. Let's put sine X over 35 is equal to sine 41 over 20. If you had put the sine 41 over 20 on the left side, that would have been, you're going to get the same answer. It's just that it's easier to work with it on the left. All right, so again, it's the angle side across from the angle. The angle side across from the angle. It's the same formula, just a little bit different. Okay, I'm just showing you how to work something like this out. I can't recall if it's in one of the questions, so I just want to ensure that we're doing it before even going to the questions. After we get through this, we should be able to do the other ones a lot faster and know that everybody would know how to use the formulas. All right, so if you need me to go back, just let me know. All right, so we would say that, oh, somebody wants me to go back, no problem. So the person who asked me to go back, just let me know when you're finished. Okay. All right, so we have that sine X over 35. So let's see, sine 41 divided by 20. All right, and the 35, which is divided. Going to take it across, we will multiply. Okay, wait, that number is probably too big. I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, change it to 25, guys. Yeah, that number is too big. Meaning when you put in the calculator to do the last step, you then get an error. And guys, everybody just quickly change that to 25. I was just trying to make up an extra question to help. So I can change it from around here. Okay. Right, and from when we were doing trig, you guys should remember me saying that whenever we're finding the angle, we always use inverse trig functions. So what do I mean by that? To get rid of sine, right? You have to sine inverse the opposite side. So that's where you do the thing in your calculator where you press shift, sine, and then 0.82. Right, so you should be getting 55. Right, so your answer should be x equal 55.1. Right, 0847, so I just rounded it, that's all. So the main thing, guys, whenever we are finding angles, you always have to use the inverse trig function. Always, always, always. Right, so take that down. If we go through all the questions and I don't see one where they ask you for the angle, right, then I'll give you an extra one. But at least this was like a bonus question. Right, so take this down and then I'm going to teach you the cosine rule so that you're able to do part 2 of the question. Sorry about that. Okay, just giving you a few more to write. If anybody's still writing, you can let me know. I guess remember, because you're not in front of me, I can't see how fast you guys are writing. So if you need me to go back, just simply say so. All right, so the cosine rule says that a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. So if you notice, the sine rule had sine in there, and the cos rule or the cosine rule has cos in there, right? So that's why they call the last one the sine rule, and they call this one the cosine rule. Right? So this is for the missing side and the angle across from the side, or if it's a missing angle, right? This is the side across from the missing angle. All right, well, the point is the A and the A, the common A and the capital A are related. All right, and then the B and the C, right, are the other two sides making the angle. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Right, so let's say this is the missing, right? So this, for the cosine rule, you're focusing on one angle, the side across from it, and then the other two sides, right, that make the angle. So what's the difference between the sine and the cosine rule? For the sine rule, right, you deal with two sides, two angles. Whereas for the cosine rule, it's just one angle, right, the side across, and then the two sides making the angle. So I'm going to show you how to use it before we go over here. Also, question, is there anybody in here that does add math? I know one person. Is there anybody else in the chat that does add math? If yes, please let me know. All right, so take it off. I'm going to do one example, finding the side, and then another one finding the angle, and then we attempt the question. Oh no, I was asking if you or anyone else does add math. That was it. Okay, so for example, all right, so let's say we are told to find QR. Right, so how do I know that I'm not supposed to use the sine rule? Because I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna ask me that shortly. All right, so you know it's not a right angle triangle, which means you're using sine or cosine rule. So what I expect is that somebody should be asking me, Miss, how do I know I'm not supposed to use the sine rule? Well, the reason I know I'm not supposed to use the sine rule is because remember, based on what I told you, right? You have the missing side or the missing angle. But for the other side that you do know, so if I was supposed to use the 8, right, I would need to know the angle for the 8. So you can only have one thing missing, and that thing is already QR. So I can't have another angle missing as well. If I was supposed to use the 14, I would need to know that angle. So since I don't have that information, that's what makes me know that I'm not supposed to use the sine rule. So instead, I say, okay, I know the angle across, and I know the two sides making the angle. So on that basis, I am able to say that I am supposed to use the cosine rule. Right, so A is QR, so that's the missing side. So QR squared is equal to 8 squared plus 14 squared. Doesn't matter which one you call B or C. Right, then it's 2 times 8 times 14 cos 64. Right, so it's the side, the angle across on the side, and then the two sides making the angle. I guess it's one of those topics you can't fall asleep, can't be distracted. If you miss one piece, I'm telling you, it's gonna go down the drain. So please stay focused. All right. So 8 squared is not 8 times 2, it's 8 times 8. So 64 plus 96. All right, so 2 times 8 times 14. That's 224. Cos 64. So QR squared. All right, 64 plus 196. That is 260. So those persons wondering. Right, that's where I got this. Right, so then I'm going to do 224 times cos 64. And that is 98.1951. So again, in case anybody is wondering. So guys, follow the colors, follow the colors. All right, so 260 minus that is 161.8049. So no writing, just pay attention while I'm doing it. And then the last step to get rid of the square, we have to square root, and we spoke about this while we were doing functions. Right, that in general, if you want to get rid of the square, you have to square root. Right, so the cosine rule is a serious thing. So it's one of the hardest things. So just please take it in. Right, so it would be 12.7. All right, so those persons who need to take it off, take it off. So guys, after we put it in the formula, there's no more trig, like it's just working out. Right, so same thing, I added these together. That's how I got 260. I should put in another thing. Okay, so if there are any questions, let me know. I'm going to do one where we use it to find the angle, and then I'll allow you to try the question from the past paper. All right, so I'm gonna go back, but let me just give the persons the other example. So this time we're going to use it to find the angle. All right, so those persons who need me to go back, give me a moment. All right, so I want you to find angle QRS. That's what we're going to do. All right, so those who want to try, go ahead and write it off. And then when we're finished, as I said, you will be able to do part 2 of that question. Question, did anybody need me to go back? Meaning maybe I'm going back, but nobody needs me to. Does anybody need me to go back? Okay. Well, in this case, the focus is one angle. Right, I have the side across from it. And I have the two sides making the angle. Right, so it's QS squared. So it'll be 6. I guess we can put 6. Right, so it'll be 6 squared is equal to 8 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 plus x. Right, so it's the side across from the angle. And then the other two sides making the angle. So 6 squared is 36. So 64 plus 100. All right, minus 160 plus x. So 36 is equal to 164 minus 160 plus x. So 164. Right. When you take it across, all right, we subtract. So 36 minus 164 is minus 128. Minus 160, which is multiplied. And take it across. You divide. So you can put that in the calculator, minus 128 divided by minus 160, 0.8, right? Right, so you should have 0.8 is equal to cos x. So we're not finished, right? Because we have to do the inverse. For those who are finished, you can go ahead and try to start working on the next one. All right, so until you guys finish writing, let me just finish it over here so that I don't really break. All right, so 0.8 is equal to cos x. I remember I said once you're finding an angle, right, you have to cos inverse the opposite side. All right, so your answer will be 36.9. All right, so that's for the example. So if anybody has any questions, I have no problem going over it. All right, so let me mark it off for you with the other questions so that you can see. So they asked us the angle QTS, right? We know the side across from it, and we know the two sides making the angle. So your hint is to use the cosine rule. So again, guys, please do not round too early. Always try to keep at least 3 to 4 decimal places until you reach the very end. If you round too early, the answers will be too far off. So guys, do not sit down there and not understand. I'm asking you to please ask me. All right, I have no problem going over it, but there are persons who are answering me. And they are getting it, so it means I can only go with them. If you guys don't say you're not understanding, then I can't do much. All right, so let me just finish the question over here. Okay, so for the second part of the question, the axis for angle QTS. All right, so it means that 7 squared is equal to 8 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 cos x. All right, so I'm just going to call it x. All right, so 49 is equal to 64 plus 100 minus 160 cos x. So 49 is equal to 164 minus 160 cos x. All right, so 49 minus 164 is equal to minus 160 plus x. So minus 115 is equal to minus 160 plus x. So the minus 160, which is multiplied, when we take it across, we divide. All right, so 0.7188. So for the person that I told you you rounded too early, you need to keep at least 0.4. Right? You can't just have 0.7. That's why your answer was so off. And then to get rid of the cos, we cos inverse the opposite side. Right, and you should be getting 44.0, 44.1, 44.05. Any of those would work. I think 45 would have been too far off, so you'd have definitely lost some marks. Good night. All right, so those who need to ask questions, go ahead. Those who don't, go ahead and try the next question. What, syntax error for the last part? Not sure why. Is have you been getting the other angles? Meaning, because I'm wondering if your calculator is in the wrong mode, but if you're doing the other stuff, that's it. Try it again. You sure you're putting the right thing? Cos inverse 0.7188. Maybe a hand slip and put something else. Try it one more time. If it's still giving you that, take a picture of your calculator and send to me on WhatsApp. For those of you, your hint for UW, right, is cosine rule. Your hint for UVW, sine rule. Okay, no problem. All right, not seeing any issues. So for this one now, right? So this was January 2009. So they asked us for UW. Right, so the idea is that I have the angle across from the missing side, and I have the two sides making the angle. So UW squared is 8 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 cos 60. Again, remember it's the side with the angle, and then the other two sides. And to go ahead. It's because you came late, that's the formula. Right, so for right now, I'll tell you that it's the formula. I'm saying when you watch the recording, you can see when I broke it now. All right, so it's 64 plus 100. Yeah, I send it to you guys in email each time after class. All right, so when class is finished, you can look out for the email. Yeah, no problem. All right, so 160 times cos 60. All right, it's 80. All right, so that is 84. So again, this got 160. 160 times cos 60, that's how I got 80. Get rid of the square. All right, I'm going to square root. So I'm going to say UW is a square root of 84. All right, so the answer should be 9.2, 9.17. Whichever one is fine. All right, guys, so these are pretty nice marks to get, so please do not miss out on them. And for the person who came late, though, that I just told to watch the recording. All right, that's the formula for the cosine rule. All right, and it says that if you have the angle and the side across from it, right, and then the B and the C is for the two sides making the angle. So you can look at the color coding that I have and see why I use those things. All right, so essentially what we know now is that this is 9.2. All right, we know that UW is 9.2. So go ahead, try to find UVW. What do you mean to check back to it? Not sure what you mean. No, you put it back in your calculator. So put 160 times cos 60, put it back. Okay. So for the second one, all right, so we have 40 up here. This is 9.2, and this is 11. All right, so they're asking us the angle UVW. We know the side across from it. And then guess what? We also know another angle and the side across. All right, so we should have that sine x over 9.2 is equal to sine 40 over 11. So sine x over 9.2, so that's sine 40 divided by 11, 0.0584, because remember I said at least 3 to 4 decimal places, 4 preferably. And 9.2 all right, when we take it across, we multiply. All right, so sine x is equal to 0.5376. And then to get rid of the sine, you have to sine inverse. All right, so everybody should be getting 32 point something. All right, so I'm going with 32.5. So it would have just depended on how much you rounded. But for sure, 32 point something. Anything, any 31s, any 33s, anything outside of that, definitely getting it wrong. Well, not wrong, but you'd have lost a mark for the final answer. All right, so if you show all of this working, you're still getting points, you know. You just probably didn't miss the mark for the answer. Yeah, so good job for those who tried. Okay. If we have no questions, that leads me to the last thing I want to teach you for today, which is to find the area of a non-right angle triangle. All right, and then I think on Wednesday we can go through the rest of the questions, because now it's not so much teaching. We should be able to just go through. So if you guys even want, you have the booklet, you can look at other questions. All right, because I think we spent most of today just trying to teach to make sure you guys were understanding. All right, so the area of a right angled triangle, right, is a half base times height. All right, where that's the base, that's the height. The area of a non-right angled triangle right? The area is equal to half AB sine C, where C is a angle, right? And A and B are the two sides making the angle. Right, so I'll use another example and then come back to the question that's on the board. Right, so giving persons a chance to write. All right, so for example, all right, so let's say I say find the area of triangle PQR. Right, so the area is a half AB sine C. So all you need to do is to find one of the angles in there. And as long as you know the two sides making that angle, all right, good to go. So the area in this case would be a half 22 times 28 sine 97. All right, so for those persons not sure how to put that in a calculator, you can just put 0.5 times 22 times 28 times sine 97. All right, so the area would be 305.7 meters squared. Okay, so using that knowledge, go ahead and try to find the area of, all right, so TUW is this triangle. All right, so you know the angle, and you know two sides making the angle. For those who were able to get the 34.64, right, that's the last thing I'm going to do for today. So if you're okay with everything else, you're free to go. Yeah, no problem. All right, this is 8, this is 10, 60. Remember, I said you want to use this angle on the two sides, making the angle. No problem tonight. All right, so it's a half of 8 times 10 sine 60. All right, so you put 0.5 times 8 times 10 times 6 sine 60. When you put that into your calculator, you'll be getting 34.6 or 34.64. And of course, you put meters squared. All right, so that would be it. All right, so guys, once you're finished writing, you're free to go. If you need me to go back to any of the pages, please let me know. Otherwise, once you're finished writing, you're free to go.